Hello again and welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is for another of the baby cardigans, similar to the other ones that I've already made previously. This one is called Pretty Shells. We're going to start with a 5mm hook and I'm using a double knit yarn. So we're going to start with a chain of 49. Oh, and I would leave quite a long tail of yarn because we can use this yarn to sew the buttons on when the cardigan's finished. So I'm going to start with a slip knot onto the hook and then we work the chain of 49. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48 and 49, and then into the fourth chain from the hook we're going to work a double. So yarn over into that chain, pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2. We're going to do that all the way along this row of chain. Now I have actually made a video that just shows the yoke of the cardigans that I make, because on all of the cardigans the yoke is exactly the same. So I'll put a link to that video into the description of this video, just so that you can work from that and not actually watch me making the whole of the yoke. But if you want, I'll just carry on a little bit on this one and then I'll explain the increase rows for the yoke as we go along, and we can then work on the skirt of the cardigan. So I'll not carry on here showing you how to do a double crochet into each of the stitches. I'll meet you when we get to the end of the row. Once you've worked a double into each of the chains, you will have a stitch count of 47. The yoke has got 6 rows. 3 of the rows are increase rows and 3 are just like this one where we do a double into each stitch. So to start the first increase row, we're going to work 3 chain. That's going to count as the first stitch, and flip over the work. We're going to work a double into the next stitch, and then we work 2 doubles into the next. So we've got a chain of 3 that counts as the first stitch, and then we've got 2 doubles, and then we've got in effect we've got 2 doubles, the chain 3 and a double, and then we work 2 doubles into the next stitch. So the next pattern repeat now, we're going to work a double in each of the next 3. Oops. So we've got double, double and double, and then we do 2 doubles into the next stitch. We're going to repeat that all the way along the row, working a double in the next 3 and then 2 doubles in the 4th one, a double into the next 3 and 2 doubles into the 4th stitch, all the way along. When we reach the end of this first increase row, we're going to work the 3 doubles across the next 3 stitches, and that will leave the very last stitch, which was the chain 3 that we started with on the previous row. we're just going to work a double into the top chain of that 3 chain. So at the end of this row you will now have 58 stitches. The third row of the yoke is going to just be 1 double into every stitch. So again, you'll still have 58 stitches on that one. The next increase row, we're going to work as we did on the row that I've just shown here, but where we had 3 doubles in between the increase where we did 2 into the same stitch, we're only going to have 2. So we work a double, we do the 3 chain to start, which counts as the first stitch, and then we're going to work a double into the next stitch, and then we're going to work 2 doubles, and then we just work 1 double in each of the next 2, and then 2 doubles into the next one, and we do that on the next increase row. So each row between the increases is just going to be a double in every row. So row number 1 is a double in every stitch. Row 2 is the increase row where we do the 2 doubles with 3 doubles in between. The third row is just a double in each stitch. The fourth row is the next increase row where we're going to work 2 doubles in between the increase where we do 2 doubles into the same stitch. The fifth row is going to just be 1 double in every stitch, and the sixth row is the last row of increases, and on that row we're going to do exactly the same as we did on row 4. But as I say, I've already got a video that shows the whole of the yoke being worked, and I will link that into the description. So after the first increase row you will have 58 stitches. After the second increase row, which is row 3, you will have 77, and then we've got, sorry, I've made a mistake there. Row 1 we've got 47 stitches. Row 2 we have 58. Row 3 is just the doubles, we've still got 58. Row 4 you will have 77 stitches. Row 5 you will still have 77 stitches as it's just a double crochet row, and row 6 you will have 102. I've already made a yoke in pink, so I'll just show you how the work will look once you've completed the row. So this is row 1, just doubles. Row 2 we've got 3 doubles in between the increase. Row 3 is just doubles. Row 4 we've just got the 2 stitches in between each of the increase. Row 5 is just doubles. Row 6 we've done the 2 doubles again in between the increase rows. So once you've completed the yoke, we're ready to start the skirt. Now on this row we're going to work V-stitches, and the V-stitch for this particular pattern is a double, 2 chains and a double all into the same stitch. So I'm going to flip over, and again we start every row with the 3 chain, and that counts as the first stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch, which is this one here, and then we're going to work a V-stitch into the third stitch. So we've got a double, chain 2 and a double into that same stitch. So now we're going to skip 2 stitches. We only skipped the 1 stitch at the beginning, but for the rest of the row we're going to skip 2 stitches and work a V-stitch. So there's skip 1, 2, the next stitch goes into the third one along, 2 chain and a double into that same stitch. Skip 2 stitches and work a V-stitch. We're going to work this all the way along the row to the end. So skipping 2 stitches and work the V-stitch. skip 2 stitches and work a V. So I'll pause the video at this point and I'll carry on to the end of the row. If you want to do the same, V-stitch, skip 2, V-stitch, skip 2, V-stitch, and so on all the way along the row, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. When you get to the end of this row with the V's, again we're going to skip the last 2 stitches and we're going to work a double into that 3 chain that was the starting stitch from the previous row. So the next row that we do is going to divide the skirt into 3. We're going to have 2 fronts and a back that will all be joined, and we'll leave a gap for the sleeves that we'll work in later on. So again, we're going to start with 3 chain, and then we're working on the first 5 V-stitches. We're going to work a front post double around the first stitch of the V. So just in case you're unsure of that stitch, it's yarn over, put the hook behind the stitch and pick up a loop, yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2. And then into the 2 chain of the V, we're going to work 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 more doubles. That brings us to the second stitch of the V-stitch, and in that stitch we're going to work a front post double. So that's the pattern repeat for each of the V-stitches. So we're going to do exactly the same to the next 4 V's. Yarn over, front post double, into the 2 chain of the V, we're going to do 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then a front post around the second V, the second stitch of the V. So we've got front post double, 2 doubles, chain 1, oops, I've only done 1 double there, 2 doubles, and then we do the front post double around the second stitch of the V-stitch. We do that again, as I say, up to the 5th V-stitch. So we've now got 4 shells. We need to do 1 more onto this 5th V-stitch. So we've got 5 altogether. We're now going to skip the next 6 V-stitches. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So into the 7th V-stitch, if you just pull the skipped ones to the front there, we're going to carry on working that same pattern repeat into the 7th V. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we've skipped. We work a front post double around the first V of the 7th V, work the 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then we're going to do a V-stitch, a front post around the second stitch of the V there. So we've got 5 here. We're now going to work exactly the same as we've just done on this V. We're going to do it into the next 10. So for the back of the cardigan there will be 11 of these shells. So I'll just work the next one. Front post double, 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then front post around the next stitch and start again with the next shell. So front post double around the first half of the V, and then the 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles into the chain space, and then a front post double. So the pattern repeat, we've got 3 shells. We're going to need 11 altogether before we skip the 6 V's again for the second sleeve. So again, if you want to just pause the video and I'll meet you when we get to the 11th one. So I've just worked my 10th shell into the 10 V's. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just going to work the 1 shell into the 11th V along. Two doubles and the final front post double. That leaves us with 11 V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to again skip the next 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're going to do the last 5 shells into those last 5 V's. So we start again with the front post double. You can just pull these skip stitches to the front there. Work 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles into that 2 chain space and a front post double. We're just going to do the same again into the next 4 stitches, the next 4 V stitches, and then we'll do the final double into this chain 3. Chain 1, 2 doubles and a front post double, and then start again with the next shell, a front post double, 2 doubles, there's 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then don't forget that final front post double around the second half of the V. That just leaves us 2 more to do. And on to the final one. And then the last double goes into the top of the 3 chain that started the previous row. So now the cardigan has formed into the fronts and the back with the skip stitches that we leave for the sleeves. So the next row is the same as the first row of the skirt, and we're going to work 3 chain as the first stitch, and then we go into the chain 1 that's in the middle of the shell, where we've got the 2 doubles and then we had a chain 1 and 2 doubles, we do a V-stitch, which is a double, 2 chain and a double, and then we're going to skip the 2 doubles, the front post double, the front post double that we did, and the next 2 doubles, and we're going to work a V-stitch into that next 2 chain space. So we just work the same all the way along this row, working a V-stitch into the 1 chain space in the middle of the shell, and we skip all other stitches. So if you want to carry on and work your V's, again I'll meet you when we reach the end of the row. So I've reached the end of the row here. We've done the last V-stitch into the chain 1 of the shell. We go straight to the top of the 3 chain that we started and work a double into that stitch. So these 2 rows now are going to form the pattern for the skirt. The next row is going to be the shell row. So again, we flip over, work 3 chain and work a front post double around the first part of the V, and then the shell, which is 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then we work a front post double, and then we're ready to start the next shell, which is exactly the same, a front post double and then 2 doubles into the chain space, chain 1 and 2 doubles. So now, because we split and skipped the V-stitches for the sleeves, we've now got 21 shells across the skirt. So if you want to carry on and work your 2-row pattern until you've got the desired length of the skirt, I would say that 5 or 6 rows, repeats of the shells is usually long enough for this first size baby cardigan. But if you want yours to be longer, or if you're working with an Aran yarn and a bigger hook, you could add an extra row, or an extra 2 rows, or even 2 lots of the shell patterns to make it that little bit longer. On the one that I've made already, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the repeats, but you could do more if you want a longer cardigan. So we just carry on working the same pattern repeat of a shell, the front post double, and then you start the next shell, a front post double, and then the shell, which is 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 more doubles, and then don't forget that last front post double. And then coming back on the next row, once you've done the shell row, we're just going to work the V-stitch all the way along, not forgetting that the first stitch is the 3 chain, the very last stitch is a double crochet in the top of the 3 chain from the row before. So I'll leave you to work the skirt and I'll meet you to start on the sleeves. Now I've worked 3 of the pattern repeats here, but obviously on your cardigan you will have done 5 or 6, but just to show you how we finish off and do the borders, I'm just going to do the 3 to keep the video that little bit shorter, but you will have twice as many of the pattern repeats as I've got here. So for the last stitch of the row, again we're going to do that double into the top of the chain that we started with. So we're now going to work up the side along the neck and down the other side. So on this part we're going to work the buttonholes, and then you'll put the buttons on the corresponding side on the other side. So we're going to start by working a single crochet in around the shaft of that stitch that we've just done. So we've done a double, we're going to just work a single. So the next single is going to go into the top of the chain where we did the double. We're going to work a single into the next space, and then a single into the top of that stitch there. We'll just do that all the way along. And then we get to the first bar of the stitch that we did to start this row. We're going to do a single into that space, and then we're going to do a single around each of the doubles and a single into the bottom of the stitch as well. So we've got one into the stitch, one around the stitch, one into the stitch, one around. And we just carry on until we get to where the first buttonhole is. I've sort of done mine about halfway down the yoke, and I only put 2 buttons. So to form the buttonhole, we're just going to do 3 chain, and then we're going to slip stitch into the same space where we had the single. So we've got a single, 3 chains and a slip stitch all into that same stitch. And then again we're going to the base of the stitch, around the stitch, into the base of the stitch, around that stitch, into the base of the stitch. And again, this is where I'm going to place the second buttonhole. So again, we've got 3 chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that same space, and then I'm going to do a final single into that last space there. We're now going to work along the neck, and I'm going to work a single crochet in between each of the stitches that we did on this foundation row here. So we're going to go into the space and work a single, into the next space work a single, and we work that all the way along so that each of the singles is falling between the 2 doubles of that first row. And we just work that all the way along to the next corner. Okay, now I'll let you pause the video and I'll meet you when we get to the other side. So I've now gone all the way along the neck, and I'm at the top of the opposite side. I left the long thread of yarn there so that I can sew the buttons on with that, but we're just going to do exactly the same as we did coming up the front. We're going to go now down. So we do a single into the stitch, a single around the stitch, and then we're going to do a single into that space at the bottom, a single into the stitch, a single into the base of the stitch, a single into the around the next space. Oops, I've done that with the wrong piece of yarn there. Do apologise. I've done that with the length that I kept for the buttons. Right, so we go around the stitch with a single and into the base of the stitch with a single, around, and then into the base of the stitch with a single, around the stitch, into the base. We just carry on all the way down to the bottom, working a single in each stitch and a single in the base of each stitch. again, you'll have twice as many of these shells to work round going down the other side, as I've only got the 3, and you'll have 5 or 6. But when you get to the last shell, we're just going to work a single into the base and a single around, and then you'll cut off and leave a length of yarn that you're going to then work in, and that will give it a nice neat finish. And obviously you'll sew the buttons corresponding to the buttonholes, like we've done on this one, that we've got 2 buttonholes and I've sewn on 2 buttons to correspond with those 2 buttonholes there. So once we've done that, we're ready to do the sleeves, and I'll only work one sleeve to show you how the sleeves worked, because both sleeves are identical. So where we've got the 6 V's that we skipped from the yoke, we're now going to join underneath where those skip stitches are, in between these 2 shells here. And I'm going to start with a standing double crochet, but if you want to, you can join and work 3 chains instead. So I'm going to work around that stitch there with a standing double, and then we've got the first V here on the yoke, so we're going to start with a front post double around that first V, and then we're going to work the shell into the 2 chain space. So we've got 1, 2, a chain, and then 2 more doubles, and we do the final front post double around the second half of the V. We're going to do the same around each of the next 5 V's that we skipped from before. So the pattern repeat is the same as it was on the skirt, but we're only working over the 6 stitches. The 6 V's, should I say. So the first row is the shell row, and this is the row that you'll also finish on like you did with the skirt, so that we've got a scalloped edge at the bottom. Coming down to the final 2 V's here. And now the last one. So we've got the front post double, 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then the final front post double around the second half of the V. That will bring us to that first stitch that we did. So you'll either have a standing double here, or you'll have the 3 chain. Either way, we're going to join into the top of that stitch and slip stitch. We now need to turn the work around, because we want to keep the right and the wrong side like we did with the skirt. So we're going to do 3 chain as the first stitch, and then we're going to go straight into that chain 1 space and work the V. And then we skip along to the next shell. We're going to do a V stitch into that chain 1 space there. And these are the 2 rows that form the pattern repeat for the sleeves. So again, we've got a V-stitch, and we'll have 6 V's again for the next row. Straight across to the next one. And then into the 6th one there. So we've got 6 V's again. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We're going to join into the top of that 3 chain that we did to start the row with a slip stitch. And then we're going to again turn around because we're now back onto the right side. We'll do 3 chain again. Just move that little tail of yarn there, and then we've got the 6 shells to work into the 6 V's. So we do the front post double around that first one, and then the shell, the front post double, and then we go on to the second one. Again, you can adjust the length of the sleeve. On mine, I've done 4 of the shell repeats for my sleeve here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. But again, to save the video being excessively long, I'll just work 2 shells, and then I'll show you how to fasten, how to finish off the cuff of the sleeve. So for the sleeve, when we started the shell patterns, we started with the right side of your work facing, and then the V-stitches are on the wrong side. As long as you just remember to flip over so that you're working each round on each side of the sleeve, because with no seam or anything, we're just working it in the round. And there we've got the last of the front post double. We've come back to where the chain 3 was that starts the row that you can see there. We're going to join into the top of that 3 chain with a slip stitch. And as I say, I've only done 2 of the pattern repeats, but you will do 4 or 5 depending on what length you want your sleeve to be. But once you've got the length of the sleeve that you want, we're going to work 2 chain, and that's going to count as the first half double. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to do a half double into the next one. Skip a stitch, work a half double, skip a stitch, work a half double, skip a stitch and work a half double, and we're going to work that all the way around the edge of the sleeve. So we're skipping a stitch and then working a half double stitch. And we work that around the 6 shells. This is going to bring the cuff in slightly. So just working a half double in every other stitch. until we get back round to the 2 chain that we did as the first stitch. And again we're just going to join into the top of that 2 chain, and then we're going to do 2 chain, which is again going to count as the first half double, and this row we're just going to work 1 half double into every stitch all the way around. So we're not skipping any stitches at all on this row. We just work a half double into each half double that we worked on the previous round. When you get to the end, you'll just join into the top of that first 2 chain with a slip stitch and then fasten off and work in the ends. Just go all the way around with the half doubles. I just think it finishes off the sleeve if there's a little bit of a cuff at the edge rather than the scalloped edge. So when you've got to that point there, you would fasten off the yarn, snip off, well, you've joined with a slip stitch and then snip off the yarn and work in the ends. So the sleeves have got a little cuff on the end there that you can see, that's the 2 rows of half doubles. So that completes the cardigan, and I hope that you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and you can like the video. Any comments or questions, feel free to post those under the video, and I hope to see you again soon. So thanks for watching. Bye.